Shalom Aleichem, my dear brothers and sisters. Today I want to discuss with you about the burial site of Moses, peace be upon him. So it says in the Torah that God told Moses to go up the mountain. It's called Mount Nebo, somewhere in Jordan. And God told him to lie down over there and basically die. And it says that God himself buried him. And it says that nobody knows his grave until this day. So now the question is, why did God decide to hide the grave of Moses? Peace be upon him. And the answer to that is that God knew that since Moses is the greatest prophet of all, in fact, the Torah tells us that Moses knew God face to face. And since he is the greatest prophet of all, God knew that if people know where his grave is, eventually some people are going to start worshipping Moses rather than God. And therefore God has hidden the grave of Moses from humanity. And that's why until this day we do not know where Moses is buried. We know that he is buried somewhere in Jordan, which is across the river, the Jordan River. If you look from the Israel side, across the river is, the country of Jordan today. So he is buried there somewhere, but we don't know exactly where. We do know, for example, where Aaron, his brother, is buried, peace be upon him. We know where other prophets are buried, including Joseph, Abraham, peace be upon them. But we do not know where Moses is buried. And interestingly, it says in the Talmud that there was a Roman legion, and the general wanted to go ahead and find the grave of Moses. And he started searching somewhere around that mountain, Nebo. And when they came to the peak of the mountain, it says that they saw the grave of Moses below. So they went down, and when they went down, they didn't see it anymore. They saw the grave of Moses up there on the mountain. So it was a miraculous grave, you couldn't come close to it, even when you see it. So the general split the legion into two. One half of the people went up, and one half of the people went down to see what's going to happen. What's going to happen to the grave. And it says that the people who were on the mountain saw it below, while the people who were below the mountain, on the bottom, saw it above. So still they could not come near the grave of Moses. Now this is the Talmud. Whether this is literal or not, I'm not exactly sure, but the idea is that this is a miraculous grave that nobody can really approach. And another thing I wanted to mention is that from here, first of all, we see how severe it is for people to worship somebody other than God. In fact, when a person goes, let's say, to a gravesite, or whether it's a prophet or some righteous person or his great-grandparents or grandparents, whatever it may be, a person has to be really careful not to direct his words towards the dead person. For example, a person should avoid saying, "Oh, please help me." Let's say a person is at his parents' gravesite, right? And he asks his mother, "Oh, mom, please help me." So this could be really problematic because he's actually praying to his mom, as if she's somebody to be worshipped. So that's why a person has to be really careful and make sure to direct all words to God himself. And he can phrase it that way, saying, "God, please help me for the sake of the righteousness of these people that are buried here." That's allowed. But the person should never direct his words towards the dead themselves. And another thing, in fact, by the way, this is one of the 13 principles of the Jewish faith, that you can only, that God is the only one who's fitting to be prayed to, and that's it. Not to angels, not to dead people, not to righteous, not to prophet, nobody, not to parents, just God himself. And by the way, another thing is that as Jews, we are forbidden to ask questions of the, assuming, let's say you're not even praying, but asking a certain question. Let's say a person, asks his dead grandparent, what's the best way, or what should I do? Can you please somehow tell me in the dream? Or if I, let's say, or for example, let's say a person wrote a book, let's say some prophet or somebody wrote a book, or rabbi, and the person says, please answer me this question, and I'm gonna open up your book, and we'll see the page it's gonna open up to, and hopefully I'll find an answer there. So this is another prohibition. It's called Doresh Mihametim, asking the dead. And if it's not that exactly, but it's very close, that's why a person should avoid doing such thing, asking anyone who's dead. Thank you for watching.